Hello, my name is Louis Talley with InSource Solutions. Today I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about VMware vApps and Wonderware and how they can help you. So let's start by defining what a vApp is. A vApp is really a grouping of virtual machine guests that are managed as a single object. They greatly simplify the management of multi-tiered applications or applications running on different guests. So imagine a scenario where you have a DA server and a Wonderware historian running on a separate guest, and you want to ensure that the DA server has started, fully initialized, connected to its end devices before you start the historian. You can do that with a vApp. Also, vApps are fantastic for avoiding overloading a data store when a guest boots, particularly a Windows guest. When it boots up into the operating system, the first thing that it does is zero out the page file, which causes a pretty substantial hit on the data store, which can make everything else slower. So what you want to avoid is having all of your guests starting up simultaneously. So let's look at what a vApp configuration looks like. So this is a vApp configuration view from within the vSphere client. So on the left you can see I've got a vApp named Sales Guys, and there's a number of guests underneath of it that are currently not powered on. Now there's different settings that you can access inside of the vApp. We're going to focus primarily on the start order, but you can set things such as resource pools, properties specific to the VM, IP allocation policy. So if you wanted to allocate IP addresses to certain applications based on conditions, you could do that, as well as other types of more advanced settings. But we're just going to focus on the start order. So this is actually the default start order, and you can see here that for each one of my guests is specified into a separate group, but I could group things together. So if I wanted two particular DA servers to start at the same time, followed by a Wonderware historian later, we could do that. So the default behavior when I select power on for the vApp is that it's going to proceed to the next step in the startup sequence when either 120 seconds have elapsed in this case, or the VMware tools are ready. Now this is a good option to select when the VM tools are ready, because you know that the operating system is fully initialized, the network adapter has initialized, and the VMware tools is usually the last thing to initialize. So I've set that here. 120 seconds is a good amount of time to set as a default. You may have application specific requirements that vary. All of these guest images are running the full stack of Wonderware technology, and 120 seconds works fantastically well here. So again, you can stagger based on the product, really allowing different applications to start up and initialize. You know, the Wonderware historian takes a little bit more time to start up and initialize than, say, a DA server. So we could, you know, adjust our start order and delay accordingly. So the really neat thing about a vApp is it's a single operation. So you set it and walk away. So I used to spend a lot of time having to power on a guest and wait, power on a guest and wait, power on a guest and wait, and so on. And this just makes that much easier. So literally you right click on the vApp and you select power on, and behind the scenes the vSphere environment is managing, vCenter server is managing the things that you have told it to do in terms of how long the delay to wait between powering on subsequent guests. So here's a look at what it looks like in a data store. So this is just a vSphere graphical overview of when I powered on the event. So here's the power on event. So you can see I wasn't really doing a whole lot. And the peaks represent each one of the guests powering up. So they power up and they boot into Windows. So as opposed to if I didn't have a vApp, instead of this little spike here and spikes here and spikes here, you would see one massive spike, which causes all kinds of issues when the guest operating system boots. So you can see here that this is a really good way of stopping a storm on a data store. So as typical when I would reboot a host or something like that, I would want to have vApp enabled. So I just wanted to give a very brief introduction to vApps and how they can make your VMWare technology deployments much more simple and easier to manage. And if you have any questions, please give us a call. Thanks.